a date which will live in infamy.
Hi, I'm KT McFarland, and you've just tuned in to DEFCON 3. And this is the hour that Fox News Strategy Room devotes every week to digging a little bit deeper into the national security issues of the day. And we've got a very interesting day coming up today because we have joining us in the studio for the first part of the show, Joe Pascal, who's president of the Hudson Union Society, and we'll explain what that is in a minute. And then after Joe has to leave, we have a couple of other people coming in, one including Cully Stimson, who is the former Defense Department official in charge of prosecutions. He's going to talk to us about WikiLeaks. Can you prosecute, and who do you prosecute, and how do you prosecute? And then we're also going to have Gary Bernstein, who is a former CIA agent in the Afghan region. He's also a U.S. Senate candidate from New York, interestingly. So he's had two pretty serious combat situations under his belt. And we have coming to us from Washington, D.C., Elon Berman, who is one of the great experts on Iran and Pakistan. And so let's start first, though, with Joe Pascal. Is a good friend of mine. Now, Joe, you're president of something called, founder and president of something called the Hudson Union Society. What is that?
Firstly, KT, it's a pleasure to be here and to be with one of the great foreign policy minds of the past.
Oh, you keep it coming. This is good.
40 years.
Who
has served many presidents.
You can come back, Joe.
Has done great things. The Hudson Union Society is where today's leaders come to reach the market, to reach audiences and take the market pulse, and to most importantly be heard with some of the most important people sitting in the audiences. The audience is made up of all of heavy hitters that love to come and hear, touch and feel,
right,
and question and challenge these different great leaders out there. We believe that people shouldn't be in ivory towers once somebody's elected to office, somebody serves in the military, whatever. People should be able to come, touch, feel, question, challenge in an intimate, respectful dialogue.
Now, anybody in the New York metropolitan area can join your organization?
Anybody
right?
across the United States.
Okay, and this is the largest, what would you call it, speakers organization in the country?
The largest nonprofit of its kind across the United States. We've grown exponentially, and we're able to get almost any leader that we want.
Well, tell us who you've had. I mean, I know that you've had everybody from rock stars to Nobel laureates.
We've had my close friend Benazir, the late Benazir Bhutto,
who we were both in graduate school with.
Correct.
At Oxford,
to presently Foreign Minister of the United Kingdom, William Hague, to Prime Ministers of the United Kingdom, to the Speakers of the House of the U.S. Congress, to all sorts of chairmen of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, to Hollywood stars, to moguls, anybody you could name and stuff that we think are impacting our lives now and will be impacting our lives in the future.
It's a very prestigious invitation to get them. I think you've got some Fox News people coming up as well, don't you? Have Geraldo?
We have Bill O'Reilly coming up. We have Geraldo coming up, Colonel North coming up. And in the past, Mike Huckabee has become a big fan of the society, and a lot of times he's a regular at the society. So we're always happy to be part of one big family, even though we don't discriminate against any other networks and all. We're always happy to have great leaders.
Matthews can
Chris
come on
Matthews,
if you
we
want.
haven't had to the society yet. As one of my first questions to Special Representative Dick Holbrooke, I said, how is it going on, Chris Matthews? And he said, Joe, to be honest with you, it's very easy because I don't have to do any speaking. He does all the speaking for me, talks over me.
Okay, well now tell us, you've had just about everybody running for president on both parties.
That is correct. In
the last several years. Does anybody stick out to you? Any of the sort of people on the political landscape as really, great personalities, really great leaders? I mean, who? I'm not saying take a political stand, but who really impressed you of the group?
General Wesley Clark actually did something very funny. He's an old friend and stuff, and he called me up one day. He said, "Could you get me a large, prestigious audience in New York?" I said, sure, and he said, I have a big announcement to make. I said, what is it? He said, I can't tell you. And he came to the society, and many of the networks were there, and he actually announced that he was running for president. I said to him afterwards, I said, Wes, could you do me a favor? Next time you have a big announcement like that, could you at least prepare us, give us a tip-off? Governor Huckabee is a friend. He's actually a really great individual. Many people say he might be possibly the second person from Arkansas to become president if he decides.
He's leading the most Republican polls now.
Of course,
yeah.
Of course. Very, very interesting individual, and as humble as could be. Mike actually told me a really, really funny story once.
You call him Mike or call him Governor?
Governor.
Okay, well, Mike. Okay, so what Governor Huckabee
Governor Huckabee, when he was actually campaigning last time for president, and he's not in the campaign mode now, and we don't know what he'll be doing for the future,
right.
He was telling how people get so passionate if you're really sincere and authentic. And this single lady queued up, and Governor Huckabee has this thing. He will, when he goes to a crowd, he will try to greet everybody in the crowd, barring if it's a stadium, because they never get out of there.
Right.
Anyway, this lady queued up to see him. He spent some time with her, and she said, "I'm just so amazed at what you're doing, and you could really change my life and so many people in the heartland. And here's I'm a single mother. I'm divorced, and here's my engagement ring. I want to support your campaign, and I know you're collecting $20 here, $20 there." And then she just disappeared. Governor Huckabee was so embarrassed and felt so bad and felt so gratified that he went on the news. He said, "This kind lady gave this to me. I can't accept this, especially for a campaign. I hope she could come back," and he still has it sitting there.
An engagement ring?
Yeah, he has this engagement ring, hoping that this lady could come back, either sell it, use it for something else, or for her children. But yeah, he's a really, really wonderful individual.
Yeah. Now, what about foreign leaders? You've had generals. I mean, I know I've met Benazir Bhutto's husband at one of your events.
Benazir Bhutto's husband was a regular. Actually, introduced President Zardari to General Peter Pacewell, who's chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff, the first time at the society, and he was being treated in New York for a heart condition. So he was a regular at the society. But foreign leaders, Prime Minister John Major of the United Kingdom, is a really, really interesting individual, and he actually told the audience two really hilarious stories that I'll share them very quickly with you. The first one, the first female member of the House of Commons, the British Parliament, her name was Nancy Astor, and she was actually American. And her and Winston Churchill were like oil and water. They had a very good relationship, but they were still like oil and water, complete opposites. So one evening at 1 o'clock in the morning, Winston was leaving. It was called the smoking room at the time. I don't know if they still have that in the House of Commons. But anyway, when he was leaving, he was stumbling a little, and Nancy came up to him and she said, "Winston, you are so drunk." And Winston responded, "Nancy, you're so ugly, but at least I'll be sober in the morning." And it was typical Winston. Another time, Winston was passing her in the hallway, and she said, "Nancy," he said to her, he said, "Winston, if I was ever married to you, I would put poison in your tea." And Winston said, "Nancy, if I was married to you, I would drink it." And the British, they have this great sense of humor, and we usually have leaders from around the world, but the British, they have this very special relationship with the U.S., and it's always a pleasure to have all types of leaders, especially British leaders. We've had Foreign Secretary William Hague, who's basically the British Foreign Secretary equivalent to Hillary Clinton, the Secretary of State. And he's one of the most intelligent people on the world stage. And he actually told a very, very funny story of Jeremy Hanley, who actually ran for the House of Commons for the district Richmond in the area of Surrey, which is equivalent to running for Lower Manhattan in New York State, equivalent to running for the House of Representatives. And Jeremy won by 74 votes in the election. He had Margaret Thatcher come to his district, campaign for him, and he was so grateful after such a close election that he went to go see Margaret. And he won by, it was 21,074 votes, and his opponent got 21,000 votes.
So he won by only 74 votes.
Won by 74 votes. Really, really, really incredible. So anyway, when he goes to see Prime Minister Thatcher, he says, "Margaret, I would really, really like to thank you for getting those 74 votes." And Margaret said, "Jeremy, let's get one thing straight. You got yourself those 74,000 votes. I got you those 21,000 votes."